I don't think I've talked about my job on this channel. I don't exactly want my 9 to 5 to leak into this channel too much because it is in fact a job, and I try not to let it control my personality outside of these hours. I'm not really one of those big boss people who try to work their way up in the company because I know what's at the top. It's a lot more money, yeah, but it's a lot more work as well. You might as well just kiss your family goodbye because you're never going to see their asses again. But it comes with the territory, I guess, right? But outside of that, I just kind of show up and I go home when I'm scheduled to. But during those hours, there are some pretty funny things that happen in my day-to-day life. Like any average Joe Schmo, I work an office job, but I work in something called logistics. For some reason, every single time I bring up this job, people just look at me like I have 9 eyes, and I typically get asked, what even is that? For anybody unaware, it's transportation of goods, moving shit, point A, point B, sometimes C. No, sometimes these things are incredibly simple to do, but sometimes they are just the biggest pain in the ass for no reason at all. But while this job does not require a megamind, 1000 IQ, big brain, it does require some tolerance towards some incredibly stupid things here and there. Now, you're probably wondering what those stupid things are, and let me tell you, it's essentially everything. Go ask anybody in the industry, they'll agree with me. More in particular, some of the people that you talk to on the day-to-day basis and some of the companies that you deal with. I know I may be preaching to the choir when I say these things, but in this particular industry, it's very bad. Now, the main thing I wanted to cover was a thing that happened to me the other day and how it weirdly ties into a news article that I saw the next day after this event. Before I elaborate on the event, I need to talk about what I do a little bit more. The comment I made about moving shit from point A to point B is pretty accurate. My job is to figure out how to do that in the best manner possible for the customer or whoever's coming to us. Sometimes it's simple, sometimes it's a complete pain in the ass. It really just depends on the situation. With all this comes a lot of interesting solicitation calls. Sometimes you'll get cold calls from customers asking you to move their grandma's great Depression era sewing machine, but sometimes you'll get calls from people trying to sell you things, and most of all, the people that you get are trying to broker your freight in some way, whether that be moving the truck themselves, having an asset to do that, or what we call double brokering in the industry, where they will hire somebody else to go do it, which is a pretty frowned on thing inside the industry. I have my own opinion on it, but that's not what I'm here to get into. Can't believe I'm about to use this word, but something quirky about these calls is that they all come from people outside the country, in particular people from Eastern Europe or Russia. When I first started and I actually heard about this, I thought it was pretty funny. I was like, why the hell are there a bunch of Russians calling in here? But later, as things started happening and these guys kept fucking us over every single time we would actually use them, I would think like, okay, this is starting to get pretty sketch. But that was until I grew some hair on my chin and accepted that was just the norm of the industry. But yeah, the simple fact is that if you give these guys loads, majority of the time, they're just gonna fucking screw you. And yes, I did say loads. Get your head out of the gutter, even though the term when somebody doesn't pick up your freight is called dropping a load. Now, to sum it all up, this leads into something that happened to us the other day. We got an email from a very well-known company in construction that reached out to us, but the thing is that we're a relatively small company, so getting these big contracts are pretty rare, to say the least, unless you have like a very good sales lead into it, which we actually had a pretty good salesperson on the case, and let me tell you, man, she was having to get a giant boner over this potential account, I should say. There were fucking dollar signs popping out of their eyes, like when Mr. Krabs gets those glasses that can detect money and all he can see is money. Point is, we thought we were onto something big, the Moby Dick of loads, I guess you could say. But here's the thing. Luckily, one of the traits that you develop when working in this industry is the detection of fucking bullshit, because you get screwed over left and right in this industry. I put on my trench coat, Detective hat, decided to give him a call. Shockingly, somebody answered the phone. Now, I'll give you some options to who you think answered the phone. Was it 1, quote-unquote CEO that was emailing us? Was it 2, a Russian guy? Or 3, I don't know, Optimus Prime or some shit? Now, if you said 3, you were only slightly off. The real answer is obviously 2. Yeah, shockingly, when I heard him, red flags started popping into my head, because unfortunately, we have been in this situation multiple times before and have gotten hacked because of it. Yeah, we got hacked. We were down for I think 2 2-3 weeks or something like that. It was brutal. At the same time, I was moving, and yeah, it was an absolute crapshoot. With everything that had happened, it honestly just felt like a normal day, but I thought it was best to call to the company who this guy was impersonating to be from, and they denied everything. Shocking, right? Said it was not legit. Sadly, all of it was a scam, but it was kind of funny because it is a kind of you can't make the shit up moment, you know? The next day I came in, it was a little bit slow, so I had some free time. I jumped on the internet as we do when we don't have any really work to do. The first thing I saw was a video titled Online Cargo Theft Affecting Freight Trucking Industry. Now, Google has to be fucking tracking me or something because this is way too funny of a coincidence, so obviously I need to click on the video after the absolute fucking circus I experienced the previous day.
The American Trucking Association says online cargo theft is up 1,500% just in the last 4 years. And these criminals are stealing everything from electronics to medicine to even energy drinks.
It's crazy to me because I've been in this industry for around 5-6 years now. It's all a blur, but nonetheless, after COVID, it seemed like the impact from entities outside the good old USA really spiked up. This might just be a hot take, but if you look within the industry, the amount of people that are from outside the United States almost outweighs the amount of people within it. It seems like every single time I look, there's always somebody from Eastern Europe or just somewhere else in general doing domestic United States trucking. Not too sure how, but it is a very accessible industry to get your hands into, whether it is for good or bad reasoning.
It's nearly 3/4 of cargo across the U.S., and truckers say thieves aren't just stealing the old-fashioned way.
Before 2020, it was more just straight thefts, where people were coming in, they would cut the seals, take cargo out of it.
A member of the American Trucking Association tell me fraudsters are using the internet to steal more cargo than ever before.
For anyone wondering what a seal is, it's the thing that seals the cargo with inside the truck. A lot of people ask truckers to use them so they don't do something called partialing, or I guess you could just use it for anti-theft reason. But partialing in simple terms is when your cargo is on board with other people's cargo, and a dedicated truck is when your cargo is the only thing on board. A dedicated truck compared to other modes of transportation, ground transportation in particular, is very expensive. So if people are paying the price, they just want to make sure that they get what they pay for, so they request the seal. Judging by the clip, it looks like they're either one at a weigh station, which is where the truckers typically go if they're trying to weigh their cargo to make sure they're road legal. And these guys look like they just kind of pulled up with some bolt cutters just to get inside of the truck. Or two, which is most likely what happened, is that whoever they booked the truck with, they stole the cargo and are going to unload it and push it overseas or wherever the hell it's going. There are multiple ways they can ultimately do this at the end of the day.
By transnational organizations operating out of Eastern Europe, Russia.
Adam Blanchard, co-founder of two Texas freight companies, say it's now an epidemic.
They stole my identity as a freight brokerage in order to get cargo from other companies and tender it to legitimate motor carriers. And I started having legitimate trucking companies reaching out to me asking for payment for freight that wasn't mine.
That is pretty spot on, and we see a lot of these foreigners making their way in. Now, I will say I have met a lot of resources that don't live inside the United States. I've worked with and still work with a lot of people from Armenia, Ukraine, etc. They are great people, but there are still a lot of sketchy people that will steal identities of companies and trick people into giving them cargo and giving them payment on top of it.
As for the cargo, the bad guys tell the truck drivers to deliver it to a warehouse.
They'll steal that freight, put it in containers, best we can tell. A lot of it's going to the LA area and transporting it to other countries.
Blanchard traced the fraudsters back to Eastern Europe. He says they stole a load of energy drinks, but these crimes are hard to report.
Before, there are multiple ways of them doing this, and this unfortunately seems to be the most common way. It's kind of a running joke around my office nowadays, but it seems like whenever you get a call from Los Angeles, California, it's generally just a foreigner, whether it be for bad or good, which honestly it checks out because most of these thefts are getting taken to LA and ultimately stolen there.
ATA says cargo theft is a $19 million a day hit to the trucking industry. Now, with the holidays coming up, truckers say all this theft could lead to higher prices for gifts.
Because when there's a shortage of that, the costs go up. There's a reflection in what you, I, and everyone else pays for the things that we want and need.
Yep, you heard that right. 19 million doubloons a day, and I bet it's going to get worse. I don't know how much that really affects the overall inflation when they say the prices are going to raise, and to be honest, I don't think I'll ever know. but I bet it affects smaller companies a lot more than larger companies in terms of raising those prices. Anyways, just wanted to touch on this topic because I see this stuff every single day. Like and subscribe. I don't even have 10 subs yet, and I would like 10 subscribers. So yeah, I plan on dropping some more videos. So if you want to see those, sub, comment, do whatever. Thanks, guys. Bye bye.